you're still on my mind. I could drive forever, you're never far behind. Autumn's fallen hard this year. Soon the trees are bare.
Hi, this is the Explore Your Voice Show, episode 3, season 2. Michael Oliphant here, and I'm also here at the podcasting microphone with Kate Slaney. Hi, Kate.
Hi there.
And Roger McLachlan.
Hello there.
And today we're talking, continuing on from our discussions about songwriting.
Yes.
From the last few episodes. And we thought we might just go through some of the tricks and lurks we get up to, some of the things we can do to improve the way we write, and also to get out of little tight spots. For instance, you might have a little melody, then you just don't know where to go from there. And it can be just a fragment. What do you do after you get your melody in your little line? What are the things you can do to build that into a song, or just into a verse even? So what we've done is we've come up with a little bit of music for an example here, and Kate's kindly written some lyrics to it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to firstly just show you the little melody fragment and the lyric we've come up with in its simplest possible form. And then we're going to try and make some changes to it.
Yeah, the melody's probably almost based on a blues concept. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, I guess it's...
it's got a bluesy...
well, the melody is... So, which is basically...
it's the A, yeah.
Yeah, it's a blues scale.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing, that...
That's it. So it's...
yeah.
Sits on an A minor chord.
But of course, as you'll soon discover...
So I was, before we started recording, I was asking Kate how you write, and you were saying that you start early with the lyric, don't you, when you write a song?
Yeah, I do, because I find it, not being a strong guitar player, I find it easier to not restrict myself by that and have a lyric in my head that I've written, even if it's just a verse or a verse and a chorus, and then sort of and that's something you can kind of invent, actually.
So you just like have a fragment of a lyric,
or you could just have a melody and then a spark of a lyrical idea, and as you start improvising with that without instruments, but you've obviously got a key in your head, so you've got to have a strong tonal centre.
So what will you do? Will you start with one chord, or say a chord like A minor to D or G to C?
No, well, in my head, I'm starting with really, I've got a progression going in my head.
Okay.
But I can't hear one particular instrument or anything. It's just wherever the melody takes itself. But the main thing is I don't want to restrict myself to patterns that I've got in the habit of playing with on the guitar, or keys that I keep singing in and all the rest of it. So then when I've got something that I like, then I'll go home and I'll work it out on the keyboard, because it's all linear and it's easier. And I'll go, right, okay, that's the chord I've got to find on the guitar, and work backwards that way. And then I'll be finding, oh, that's nice, actually. Well, actually, I'm familiar with that progression, but I never would have thought of it. I never would have gone straight to it.
Yeah. The melodies helped you go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Roger, when you're writing a melody, do you ever find yourself stuck for a place to go next? That you'll get one fragment and you really love that, and then you don't know what to do next?
Yeah, absolutely, it can happen. I possibly tend to write from a groove upwards, being a bass player, and that's kind of... it's a groove kind of instrument. You're right, sometimes I'll get a little pattern and I'll think of a melody. It's like, where am I going to go now?
Yeah. Is that like, can be a short melody, like a few notes, or like a whole series of notes, like a long phrase, for instance? Does it matter how intricate it is?
No, it doesn't. And sometimes I'll just write grooves and then try and put just the opposite to Kate. I'll write some kind of groove.
Yeah.
it might be on one chord, it might go over a couple of chords, but then I'll actually mull that over that pattern. Then I might think of a melody that will work on top of that. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. I find myself kind of wandering around the house, around the work, a little melodies floating around in my head.
Yeah. Common to a lot of songwriters, I think, probably get up to this trick, which is revoicing.
Yes.
And revoicing, I guess you would best describe it as being changing the chords.
Yes.
In simplest terms. So you'll have a melody which seems to sit well under one chord, and playing around on that chord for a while, it kind of paints you into a bit of a corner. You don't know what to do next. So what do you have to do? Make a change. Well, rather than changing the melody, why not just change the chord? In other words, revoice it, or maybe you could consider it to be reharmonized instead. And so the same melody, as we know, can fit under or over many different chords, and that completely changes the perspective of it. So maybe we should use our little example we prepared.
I think we should.
Oh, I think we should.
Okay. Okay, so this is just this little melody, just using A minor and no other chord. Okay.
Would you like me to play the melody first on the bass, or?
If you like, yeah. Okay, very simple melody.
Yeah.
Now Kate's going to sing it.
2, 3, and baby, I'm coming home, hoping you're still alone, 'cause what we had, we still got. We're over, but we're not done.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple melody, starting on the tonic, on the A.
Yeah.
Now, using what we were just talking about before, what we do is we add another chord, which is shares some of those notes.
Yes.
So let's do A minor to D9.
Okay.
2, 3, and baby, I'm coming home, hoping you're still alone, 'cause what we had, we still got. We're over, but we're not done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it increases in sophistication. It gives you somewhere to go. Okay, still using the same melody. Now you can go another step. Well, in fact, you can go a lot more than another step. So let's add a few more chords to see how complex you can actually make it with still the same melody.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do F major 7, D minor 9,
Yeah.
B diminished or half diminished,
Yeah.
A 7 sharp 9. Okay, here we go. 3 and 4 and.
Baby, I'm coming home, hoping you're still alone, 'cause what we had, we still got. We're over, but we're not done.
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice. So that gives you an idea of where you can take the same melody, doesn't it? And that's something we use all the time, I think. We'll come up with a fragment, an idea, a melody line, and then you see how it sits with different chords, and you can see with that example how it completely changes the focus, the feel of the song, doesn't it?
Totally.
Adds all this extra harmonic complexity. Now, it may not be your cup of tea to go that far, but one of the things you should always try is to take the same melody and sit it on an unexpected chord. You know. So if you find yourself kind of stuck, you know, with your melody, and there's a terrible tendency these days just to write a song which just sits between two chords, and call that your verse. I always argue that, well, that's been done a hell of a lot. It's kind of like no new territory there, songwriting-wise. And it doesn't really need to be that way. Throw unexpected chords in. Obviously, what we're talking about relies on a little bit of chord knowledge, but it doesn't require that much.
No, and to me, this style of writing is kind of that kind of soul R&B approach, isn't it? As I said, where the melody is kind of out of a blues scale, and it's very easy. I think it's probably easier with a melody like that to drop a lot of chords around it.
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you take a complex Joni Mitchell melody,
well, indeed, you end up with something really
she
different.
does it as well too. You do. I mean, every writer does it. You know, whether it's a complex melody, you can hear snippets of melodies. Maybe a one note is shifted slightly.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, clearly, where you can take this then is that Kate sang the same line over and over and just changed the lyric, which in itself I think is a clever thing to do. But you can then just change one note or two notes in the melody line, and it becomes quite different then if you change the chord as well.
Yes.
So I think this is a really important thing for songwriters to remember, is to exploit the idea you already do have. Rather than continually search around for fresh ideas. So you've got this ba ba da 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 da. That's great. Use it. Flip it on its head, play it back to front, change the chords underneath it, change one note in the melody. Don't go then off on a long walk trying to find yet another piece of brilliance out of the blue without any reference point.
Yeah, exactly.
And many, many great songs, I think, have been written on the basis of you get one idea, then you kind of rework it throughout the tune.
Expand the idea.
And then you get into this business of like reworking can be really subtle and add all this interest in the song.
Of course, the other thing I find can happen is, even though you're running that same melody and then changing the chords, sometimes if, like, for instance, we're doing, there you're going, da 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 da. Those chords they could actually take you to another set of melodies.
Yes.
You know, if you think, okay, what if I'm playing those changes, you may come up with another melody altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe a counter line, counter melody.
So you're saying that the chord changes themselves suggest new places to go.
Yes,
absolutely.
Even though that melody does work. If you actually think about it.
Yeah, you've got to restrain
yourself. Now that I've got this different chord structure, maybe there is a subtle change or maybe a drastic change in the melody.
Yeah. So that's really turning a little bit of material into a lot of material.
Yes.
By using the same rule over and over again, and you're just making tiny little changes. And so I would argue that in a way this is one of the tools you can use to overcome kind of writer's block of, well, what am I going to do? I've got a couple of chords here. Actually, you should just be able to start from any point with a 3 or 4 note melody and revoice it effectively into different keys. And having done that, you will also find that it'll go really strange on you. So if you take that, Kate, just sing that line over again.
1, 2, 3, 4. Baby, I'm coming home. I'm hoping you're still alone. 'Cause what we had, we still got. Over, but when not, baby, I'm coming home. I'm hoping you're still alone. 'Cause what we had, we still got. We're over, but when not.
Just being silly.
But you're right, going to the E flat. Where were you? Da 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 da, maybe ba 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 ba, one note, da da, changing that one note.
That's right. So what you're really being encouraged to do there is make little adjustments to the melody to make it fit the new territory.
Yeah.
And so instead of changing the whole damn thing, you just tweak it a little bit as the notes become less and less common to the original key that you started in.
Yeah.
So by the time we were on the E flat major 7 there, we're in territory where there aren't many notes that are common to that key. So it's already harmonically discordant. It's starting to show more and more tension. And so you're wanting to bend it then.
Yeah, I'm trying to resolve it. Or,
You're showing lots of restraint in keeping on track. But it does show, really, this is such an easy way to come up with a new melody or a new phrase to go with your existing melody. Just throw some stuff at it and see what happens.
Make some rules, in other words. You know, say I'm going to work with this element and that element and no more, and work within that, because the problem is, and particularly with the more we have available to us in terms of writing tools these days, it unfocuses us. You know, there's too many choices, there's too many grooves that we can get up, there's too many loops that we can go to, there's too many instruments that we can go to. Actually, when we're limited with just a few colours in our palette, then we're forced to work with simpler elements,
bit more creative.
And actually it's easier for us, you know, and it doesn't look like a dog's breakfast or sound like, you know, the
or your dog
sound.
Anyway.
No.
Yeah, you're right. When there's too many options, sometimes it just becomes you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah. So it's just working with fewer elements and finding
and when you make
out
changes, make them smaller. I think that's a bit of a theme for what we're talking about now. Is you don't need to make radical changes, or you get 3 or 4 lines into your song and you go, oh, this sucks, it's going nowhere, and that. Maybe what we're talking about here is that actually it's just a melody, and change a couple of notes of it rather than throw it out the window. Just like a lyric, you know, you don't need necessarily to just throw the whole verse out just because you can't find a last line to it. That's silly. What do? You tend to go back over the lyric and you tweak it a bit until it makes better sense, or it works better. I think it's the same here. I think we're too hard on ourselves sometimes when we're composing. Expect too much.
Yes, you're always probably wanting to write something incredible, better yourself each time.
Surely that comes at the end, though, when you've got a couple of lyric lines and a couple of melody lines at the start. To think that this is not going to be any good unless it makes a definitive musical statement of the last 50 years.
Yes.
It's like maybe asking a bit much of yourself.
Maybe.
The most important thing here, though, is that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's not just a hit and miss process, because if you don't know what rules you're working with, then you'll find yourself writing the same song over and over again, and you won't be able to get out of that. You won't know why it works and why it, you know, other versions of that similar type of song won't work.
Yeah,
you know. So,
I agree with that.
So basically it's theory, it's musical education, and that's what's going to get you from your first album to your second album, and without people saying, yeah, it kind of sounds like that first album.
At the same time, I think it obviously, if you know what you're doing, you understand theory and harmony. But sometimes I think just having a stab in the dark, like if you've got, we've discussed a whole bunch of chords that it works on, and sometimes just going from, does it work with da da da? No, well, it doesn't work when I go there.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know, and even if you don't know why it. Even if you don't know theory-wise why those notes work, sometimes you don't want to get too caught up in the theory of it. You know, analysing why does that sound good? Sometimes
you get bogged down. Down and
sometimes
get nothing done.
Some of the pop songs I hear sound to me.
All I'm saying is that what we're doing here is we're adding some theory to what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let's hit the books for a month before we come up with what we're doing now. I'm saying what we're doing is we're taking a theoretical approach to something. You know, we're saying let's work within these parameters.
Sure.
And
to master this, you don't need to know a lot of theory.
No.
What we're talking about here.
No, it's just a little.
You need to, I think, have a few chords in your repertoire.
Yeah.
And understand, you know, the basic majors, minors, minor sevenths, and major sevenths, and in familiar keys, and that'll give you a good starting point.
I think one of the other things is, and I'll just mention this phrase without getting into too much explanation, but the for every major chord there is a relative minor, or relative minor, relative major. In other words, it's the same notes, just dished up in a.
From a different starting point.
Yeah, I think that's a great, that A minor, for instance. Now, without getting into long explanations as to why this works, if you take the A minor scale, which we're doing, I know that the relative major is a C chord from A minor going up to the C bar, da 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 da. That's a great writer's trick. And maybe going from the C minor, you often hear songs that might be in a minor key. And for the chorus, they'll go up to the relative major, so the chorus becomes happy going from the minor.
Well, that's one we didn't explore there, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
That's a good point. So you're saying starting on the A minor?
Well, let's say A minor, yes,
Just sing the...
So the first two lines and then the second two lines we make it deliver to. We go to the C.
Going up to the C. Okay.
But the melody remains the same.
Give me the chord.
4 and.
Baby, I'm coming home, hoping that you're still alone. 'Cause what we had, we still got. We're over, but no, we're not. Baby, I'm coming home, hoping you're still alone. 'Cause what we had, we still got. Oh, we're over, but no, we're not.
Okay, cool.
So I get a little carried away there.
Well, you kind of want to vary it when the second time around. Obviously, you're not going anywhere.
It encourages you to vary it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's where all this leads. As you start out with a 5-note melody, and you end up with subtle and usable, efficient variations on the melody, which all make musical sense. We hope you've enjoyed that little practical tool.
Yeah.
We've got a few of them.
Queries or questions, you can always drop a comment.
Yes, absolutely.
And comments like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Or
who you are.
What?
The website is exploreyourvoiceshowpodcast.com. We love visitors, of course, and any comments.
We can put you up for the night.
We can put you up for the night, and we can even teach you how to play A minor.
Yes.
Also, of course, the singing course is on iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search for Explore Your Voice. One of the most popular singing courses ever made. That's us. Even if we do say so ourselves. Till further notice, that's enough from me.
I'll put the red bass down, okay? That's enough for one day.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Driving home from your house.